versa, whenever you want to talk, and feel free to talk. All right. Well, good evening and welcome to the, wow, that's loud, October 2nd Planning Commission meeting. Call to order.
Commissioner Doug. Here. Commissioner Lee. Here. Commissioner Nemerov. Here. Commissioner Veluvali. Here. Commissioner Strauss. Here. Commissioner Thorson. Present. Commissioner Berube. Here. Chair Olson.
Here. Thank you. I always say call to order when I mean roll call. Are these new? Is there like some new system or? I'm hearing a new speaker over here. Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Well, everyone can speak softly, I think. Okay. So the next on the agenda is actual approval of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the agenda as submitted.
Thanks. Yeah. A second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Next we have community comment. And yeah, I don't think, unless, so we're just going to move on through that. So we have one public hearing tonight, and it's for 3821 Gallagher Drive sign variance. And Emily, are you?
Thank you. Yep. Good evening. Tonight, the applicant, Spectrum Signs, is requesting a height variance for an area identification sign at 3821 Gallagher Drive. The 4.19 acre property is located on the east side of France Avenue, south of Gallagher Drive. There are two existing buildings on site, one single-story multi-tenant building, and a second multi-tenant building with pinstripes, the container store, and a parking garage. The subject property is zoned mixed development district and is guided mixed use center, and the surrounding property designations are PCD to the north, mixed development district to the south, Centennial Lakes Park to the east, and planned office district to the west. The proposed sign would be considered the second area identification sign for the site. There is currently one existing sign located on France Avenue that designates the tenants that are located on site. A second area identification sign is allowed due to the site having two frontages. The second sign is limited to 70 square feet and 8 feet in height. The proposed sign is to be located above the ramp entrance on the north side of the subject property. The proposed sign is located roughly 74 feet from the north curb on Gallagher Drive and is 65 square feet and is proposed to be 16 feet 6 inches in height, which is what requires a variance tonight. Tonight, staff believes that the requested sign height variance is justified. The nature and the location of the sign will help wayfinding and circulation on site. The proposed sign will help people visiting realize that there is a parking garage for the commercial businesses and restaurants, and the height has to be tall enough so that vehicles can still access the parking garage. Staff believes that the proposed variance is reasonable and that the practical difficulty is the layout of the site and the type and the location of the proposed sign. If the applicant complied with the height requirement, the garage would not be able to be accessed. Staff believes that there are unique circumstances for the site. The proposed signage will help the site with circulation and notifying patrons of additional parking located within the parking garage. And staff believes that the variance does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The proposed sign is located in a commercial district and is commercial in nature. It's a benefit to have people directed into the parking garage to park on the subject site. So tonight, staff's recommendation is to approve the requested variance to allow the area identification sign at 3821 Gallagher Drive to be 16 feet 6 inches in height based on the findings and conditions laid out in the staff report. So I also included tonight in my presentation just a couple different street views of the site. You can see on the right-hand side there is the existing sign, and the proposed sign is to be on the on-ramp for the parking garage over here to the left of your screen. And here's just another view of that from street view. You can see the existing sign and then where the proposed sign is to be located. And with that, I'll stand for any questions, and the applicant is also here to answer questions you may have.
Great. Thanks, Emily. Are there questions? Go ahead. What? No. Okay. You're next.
Thank you, Emily.
Mm-hmm.
I had just a quick question for my own knowledge. In knowing the area, it seems that, or do you know, were other variances issued for the other signs that are on the building? So it would not seem to be an exception for that site? or
No,
area?
there are not. To my knowledge, I checked earlier, there were not any variances on this site
Okay.
specific to signage.
I just wondered because some of the other site signage attached to the building is much taller. So is that a different?
This is for a freestanding sign.
Got it. Thank
So
you.
not a building sign.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, Emily, could you go back to that first view?
This one?
No,
Or
the one before. Yeah, and yes, thank you. So the lower left, the photo showing the sign, is there any issue with, I see on the stone, the Container Store has
So
a
we're
sign
treating,
there.
so
Are they going to
the-
want to move that, or is that going to block that?
to my knowledge, they're not going to move it. From
But they're
what
okay
the
with it?
conversations that I've had, the applicant might be able to speak to that. But the retailer itself is allowed additional signage related to the retail store. This is treated as the area identification sign, so the second Centennial Shops sign that would be allowed.
And really, the issue just is the height, the clearance.
Correct.
Coverage is actually less than what they could have put out there.
Yep, it's under what is allowed square footage wise, and they can have it, it's from the setback to the property line or the traveled portion of the street on Gallagher is well beyond what's allowed or what's required. It's just the height of the sign.
Just, is Gallagher, is that a public street up to where you turn in?
Yes. It's
Okay,
addressed off
okay.
of Gallagher here, so this is the portion of public right of way.
Okay, thank you.
No? Okay, thanks, Emily. So is the applicant here? You want to do a little presentation? You don't have to, but if you want to come up, walk through while you're proposing the sign, thanks.
Hello, I'm Eric Tauschak with Spectrum Signs. I think it might be beneficial just for me to read a quick letter from RPT Realty, the owner of the property, if that's okay. She is not able to be here. She is across seas in Ireland on vacation right now. But her name is Emily Dakota with RPT Realty, and she writes, "Dear members of the council, it is with great regret that I cannot be present at the council meeting on October 2nd, as I will be in Ireland on holiday. RPT Realty purchased Centennial Shops in late 2016, realizing the street-level parking at the property was a minimal. And the parking deck was confusing, to say the least. Customers did not understand if everyone could use it or if it was just for the Container Store, or exactly what was the purpose. After hiring a consultant and reviewing the proposed signage, we have contracted Spectrum Signs to construct and install wayfinding signage on each level of the parking deck, and we will be installing that signage in a couple weeks. That will be completed shortly, as well as new entrance sign at the base of the parking deck structure. So it's basically just, as you know, the height of the structure is what we're asking to have a variance for. And I'm able to answer any questions about the structure itself or anything. But
Okay. So there has been confusion on who can use the parking up there.
yeah, so I think the flow will be improved, and when you do first pull into the center, I think everyone naturally is going to go to the open space, street level parking, and there's lots of congestion there. If people did know that there is a parking ramp available, 4 levels of parking ramp available, when they first turn in, I think it would definitely help with congestion.
Okay, thanks. Are there any questions for the applicant? No? Simple. Okay, no, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so bringing it back to the Planning Commission, any questions, comments, discussion?
I use this center quite frequently. Love the Container Store, like pinstripes. But that has always been sort of a gut reaction I've had is, wonder why that parking isn't a little more clear. And the surface parking lot is always heavily used. So you always see a lot of cars circulating in the area. I think there's logistically some issue with it being so close to the entry drive off of Gallagher. I'm wondering if people even will miss that signage. So I think in some ways we have to have that, but maybe there's also something that can be done to publicize it even before people enter that site or as they turn into Gallagher. That's the parking. Usually people look for a big P sign on the building, so I might even encourage that in the future. I know this reminds me a lot of the Westin, where we had that parking deck for so long, and people didn't know that they could park there. So right by Barnes & Noble, where that used to be, so people would always grab the surface lot, but would never think of using that parking ramp. So once they put that big P on there, it seems like people have really taken to it more. So just an observation, but I have no issue with this. I think it's pretty cut and dried.
Any other?
I'll move approval of the variance as submitted, subject to the conditions and findings outlined in the staff memo.
I'll second that.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So next on the agenda are reports and recommendations. I don't think we have anything. Nothing. Okay. Correspondence and petitions. Nothing. Chair and member comments. Are there any comments? Are they discussing something? Go ahead.
Just a question. I was aware there was a work session about our work plans, and I wondered if you want to
Yeah.
provide a little update?
Yeah, I
If
can
that's
talk.
coming, sorry if I
No,
jumped the gun.
that's fine.
Okay.
I'm just- But yes, there was, unless somebody else has anything. Is there something? Oh. Okay, start over. Okay, so
Bring him back.
did not.
I move to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Public hearing closed. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, good catch. Do we have to go through everything again? Okay. So yeah, there was a work session. Every year we have a work session with the city council where all the commissions are represented to walk through their work plan. So we had that last night, and I've done that a couple of years now, and it's always interesting to hear what all the other commissions are doing. But this year it was like it was really interesting because everything was really tied together. I think, working on the comp plan and all of us kind of working together and meeting together, it was just really kind of inspiring, I think. So I see a lot of opportunity for us to kind of keep that going and keep that communication with all the commissions. So we should probably I don't know, can we get because I didn't have copies of everyone else's work plan. That might be, I know it has to get approved by the council, but it would be.
They're available on the city's website under Novus for the planning or the city council work session meeting.
So they're all there, okay.
View them there.
Okay.
But once they're approved, then they'll be posted on the city's website.
Okay. Well, if you've got time, I would look through them, and then, because they're all really great initiatives and definitely things that will support what we're doing. So I think it was really great. The Transportation Commission is doing a lot. They're all doing some great stuff. So anyway, but they liked what we're proposed to do with our work plan, and they were all very appreciative of the work and the hard work that we put towards this, and meeting twice a month and everything. And so I was like, that was great. So
there weren't any suggested changes or additions?
no, no. One of our items, and we had like a kind of that bucket list at the end where we were listing, everything as we discuss it was trees, and everyone had something about trees on theirs. So that was discussion on that, just, excited about that. So, we'll just have to, I don't know, but there's no changes. So, anyway, yeah.
When you talk about trees, do you mean preservation of trees?
Well, see, and that's
or
where I was kind of
trees?
asking what exactly it was that we, because I know that I think that was a Lou comment, so we had added that. But yeah, it's the preservation of trees, or, do we want to kind of review the tree ordinance? So I think it's the Energy Commission has that on their list to kind of review the tree ordinance.
So that's very timely, because I'm just reflecting back to the one where they wanted to do some development of an outlot that had a lot of trees on it. Without the knowledge of what the other commissions are thinking or where they might weigh in, that might be helpful information as far as, when we're up here, we're kind of just going by our gut and what we think. But if there are actually goals from the boards and different commissions, I'm just wondering, how do we do a better job of kind of interfacing? And we've talked about that too. I think in the past, we've also said that we used to assign each person, like I would be on the Transportation Commission liaison, you might be on Human Rights and Relations. But I also thought it might be helpful to maybe invite them. So maybe at one of our meetings, we kind of just rotate, and we'll have just a 15-minute presentation from somebody from the Transportation Commission. Just tell us what you're working on, is there anything that we need to be aware of? And maybe just periodically do that. Or vice versa, they may seek to ask us to do that. Could somebody from the Planning Commission come to our meetings? And I think that kind of two-way exchange could be really helpful.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be excellent. And yeah, because everything that they had, again, just really, we could use it all.
Yeah.
It's just really, and they're doing some great, studies, and so it's great information that would support what we want, we're trying to do. So I think that's a great idea. I think they were also talking about that's the 50th anniversary for the Human Rights Commission. So, that's impressive that's been around for 50 years. But anyway, so when they were talking about having like a kind of a big event, and to, I was thinking that might be an opportunity for all the commissions to kind of use it to, promote what we're trying to do. And anyway, so I think there's definitely opportunities to keep working together. And, but yeah, it's a good group. It's always really impressive, so. Yeah.
So and this perhaps a question for staff also. My understanding is also we put our work plans together, and all the commissions put their work plans together and submit them and get them approved by City Council. And then we go back and we do our work. And as a result of that, the Planning Commission and Council may make recommendations for changes to city ordinances. Is that generally the path that all the groups were pursuing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's always tied to ordinances, but.
Yeah, it could be anything from events to certain goals or objectives that they have. It depends on the type of item that's on the work plan. There's different, like review and decide or review and inform. So there's different types of items that were on each commission's work plan. So it's not necessarily just ordinance changes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. For our group, reflecting on what other groups do, wouldn't ordinances be the main thing we would pay attention to? For example, if a commission has an objective to research an issue, that might be informative to us, but we would still have to follow whatever the ordinances are today.
Right.
Yes.
Or like, the living streets. That's not an ordinance. It's a policy.
But it's an approved policy.
Yeah.
And until something results from a commission that gets approved by this council, whether they're studying it or not, we can take that as an interest, but only our actions need to be guided by the actual policies and ordinances that are approved by council.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just good to
But it's great
keep that
to hear what they're doing.
communication, and yeah. And oh, I just went blank. There was something that was mentioned that would really, well, just like the transportation, so help me, Sue, so they're doing with the, because we remember we had that meeting to kind of have a list that they were due, because that was discussed also about traffic studies, and that would, definitely apply, and we want to have some input on that too, because we have always said that we want a little bit more oomph to the traffic studies, so, yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think what they were looking at was putting in a requirement that that the traffic studies would, rather than sort of a static picture in time, have to incorporate the planning, existing planning that we already know
Right,
of
that's gonna
projects
be
that are coming in,
happening.
right. Finding a way to do that. And I think the other thing was, again, the TDM incentives. Not yet policy yet, but it's kind of good to sort of know what they're thinking, because that sort of bears a little bit on how we review some of the things if that were to come to light. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of just getting and staying on the same page,
Yeah.
all moving along together.
Helping each other.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll continue to talk about that. I know we have a work session next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks, sorry. Next week?
Not next week. The 23rd.
The 23rd. So, I mean, I think we'll probably have time and we can discuss that further, how we want to continue that. Do we have time on that work session? Is it a full one?
I'm trying to think what's on that work session. I know we have one November
Lot coverage.
13th.
I think
Oh.
Impervious lot coverage. I believe.
Yes, on the 23rd. Yep,
Okay.
that's right.
Well, we'll see. If we've got time, we'll, keep the discussion open. So that was it. Anyone else have anything? Sure.
Perhaps, Emily, there are a couple items from some meetings back. The one that was at Outlot, and then the other one, the house issue was with the retaining wall. How did the council, have they heard those? One was an appeal. That was the retaining wall?
Yes, the appeal will be heard next week on the
Okay,
next city
okay.
council meeting.
And
I
did the
believe.
council, did they hear the request for that outlot? That was was it Woodlawn?
I don't believe so yet. They were working
Okay,
on an
I just-
agreement that needed to be signed, to my knowledge.
Okay. Because
So
I
they
know
were
we
working
spent
through
quite a
that.
bit
I
of time.
don't believe that's gone to council yet. It's been continued. I think they were working on getting an agreement signed before it went to council and was finalized.
So before we leave, you probably thought I forgot, but nothing. So here, I'm passing over the mic. So just keep it simple. Just, introduce yourself and give us a little bit of information and, and welcome, because we're always so excited and always feel welcome to, during the discussion, to speak. Don't feel like you can't. So I'll shut up.
I'm Anand Filuvali, and I'm in 10th grade, and I joined the Planning Commission originally because one of my friends who did it before, Tanner Jones, he recommended that I do it, and then so I interviewed for it because I thought the Planning Commission, the more I read about it, was interesting, and so here I am.
Very awesome.
Oh, welcome.
Yeah, very welcome. It is. It's really exciting. And like I said, like tonight was kind of a chill one. It's a good one to kind of get you into it.
Yeah.
But we are
I'm
going to
happy that
have
it was more
a couple
relaxed.
of public hearings with the comp plan, so you'll be able to experience that. And, like if you get a chance, read those chapters or the small area plans. That would be really awesome. I don't know if any-
And if they set up chairs out in the lobby, then
Yeah.
we're in for a big
Sometimes
crowd.
you have more than one person not sitting out there.
Yeah, usually we don't, I don't miss the public hearing because there's more people, but welcome, I'm glad you.
Thank
And
you.
how's Tanner doing?
He's pretty good. I haven't talked to him in a while because he's been traveling, I think.
Cool. Well, welcome. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
is there a second?
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sweet. This has to be the shortest.